Hi Pre-K, it's Mrs. B. I was cleaning up a little bit and I found a box of paint. I have all these awesome colors here, and then I thought to myself, I have paint, but I do not have paintbrushes, so we have to improvise. We have to be creative. So I found some things in the kitchen that I thought would be cool to paint with, and I found this metal straw, a spoon, a spoolie brush that comes with the metal straw, and I've been playing with these things so you can see there's a little bit of paint on them, a butter knife, and a fork. So if we look at all of these utensils, we can see that we can make a bunch of different textures in our paint by using each of these items. So I'm going to take them all off of the paper. I'm going to put them in the box. I got a little bit of paint on, that's okay. And it's spring and it's sunny out, so I'm thinking about grass and trees and flowers and using all of my pretty colors that I have here. And since there's already some green on my paper, maybe I'll start with green. Green, 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 green. There's, oh, and I see a dot of brown. There's some green. Why don't I paint a tree? How about that? So I'm going to paint a tree. I'm going to start with my paint, spread some green paint here, and use one of my kitchen items to move this paint around. I'm going to use my spoolie brush. Let's see. What if I spread this paint around using this brush? We see some texture in there, we see some lines, and since there was a yellow bit of paint on the spoolie brush, can you see the color changing a little bit? You can see the color changing a little bit. I can swipe it, I can move it in circles depending on what shape I want to make the leaves of my tree. See, so I just turn my shape into something a little bit more round. We know when we make art, it does not have to be perfect, it just has to be fun. That's the point, right? To have fun. So here I have my tree shape, and I'm going to make the bark on the tree. I'm going to use some brown. Here we go. I'm going to make the trunk of the tree. I'm going to use my knife. There's already some brown paint on here. I'm going to scrape it along. I'm going to scrape, scrape the trunk of my tree. And I am going to widen the trunk at the base of the tree, at the bottom of the tree, because this is where the roots grow. They grow into the ground and they anchor this big tall tree into the ground. And I'm gonna scrape some of these knife patterns into the paint, because now it kind of looks like tree bark, right? I know a lot of us have some tree bark in our classroom, some sticks, and they all have little line patterns on them. They're not completely smooth. They have some texture. They can be rough or bumpy. So we're going to try to make that look with our knife. Rough and bumpy. We see? I'm going to put this over here. Something's missing. I think I would like to add some grass, some green grass. Why don't I look into my box here? No. This is the only shade of green that we have, but I have a little trick. I'm thinking about trees and grass because I was at the park yesterday trying to get some air. So we have green, right? It looks like a pretty basic green color. But what if we add a color to lighten up the green? If we add white to a color, let's see what happens. What do you think is going to happen to this green if we add white? Let's check it out. looks a little lighter to me. I'm gonna add a little more white because I'd like to see a lighter shade of green. If we add white to a color, it gets lighter. If we add white to red, we know that turns pink. There we go. We have a light green, right? We have a light green here too on this side. So I'm gonna try to make a shape that looks like grass. So if we're walking in the park and the grass is on the ground, I'm gonna try to make it look like it's flat so we can walk or ride our bikes. There we go. I'm gonna make a pattern with my fork to make little blades of grass coming out of the ground. I think I'm gonna even add another color to my grass to make it a little brighter. I have some yellow here. Oops, I just hit the camera. Mrs. B is still getting used to this. I'm gonna add some yellow to my grass. That's a lot of yellow. Let's see what happens when we mix it around. I can use my fork to mix it together, and then I can use the tips of the fork to make the blades of grass. So here we go. That is looking more like the park. Now, what can we add to our picture? Let's think. So we have a tree, we have grass. What are some other things we see at the park? What about butterflies? I'm going to add a butterfly to my painting. I'm going to pull out an orange paint. I don't have black to do a do I? I do have black. I just looked inside. I'm gonna put a little drop of orange paint. And we are going to make a butterfly. Let's see. How do we make butterfly wings? Oh, there we go. That's a lot of paint. If you drop a little too much paint onto your paper, you can clean it up with a cotton swab or a paper towel, or you can just leave it and let it dry. The paint takes longer to dry when it's thicker, but it will dry eventually. That looks like a butterfly shape. I'm gonna add some black to my butterfly. I reach over here. I have a little bitty pen, and I'm gonna improvise, right? I can even use my finger that has paint on it to smooth it out, maybe get rid of some of this excess paint. What else can I add to my painting? I have a butterfly, tree, grass. What grows out of the grass in the spring? That's right, some flowers. I'm gonna spread some paint out here. And I'm going to use the tip of my finger to spread out this paint. But remember, when we're painting, we always need help from an adult to set us up, because this paint is acrylic paint. It does not wash off. And in true pre-K fashion, you could be covered from head to toe, but you will still get paint on your clothing no matter what. Because that's just how pre-K rolls, doesn't it? And Mrs. B is good for getting paint all over herself too. So I have my flowers. I wonder, is there anything missing from this? A blue sky would be great. I didn't think about doing the sky until now, but we know with art we can always add to it. There are no mistakes as long as we're having fun, and it's whatever we want it to be. If you want your tree to be blue instead of green, that's your decision. It's your art. I'm going to use my finger to make little blue sky in between all of the things that are in my picture. My flowers look like lollipops. And that's fun because I like lollipops and I can't wait to get back to school to meet with you all so we can give out some treats. Lollipop Day is usually Friday, but on our first day back, everyone is getting lollipops. Oh yes. I go in between my lollipop flowers. And this is not perfection, but it is fun. We are not looking for everything to be perfect. Remember that. Even in your schoolwork, it does not have to be perfect. But it's practice. And it's progress. And progress is a big word, but it means you're just working to improve whatever it is you're trying to learn. And we're not going to learn unless we are patient with ourselves and we practice. We're not always going to know what to do the first try, but if you keep going, you will figure it out. Not only in school, but anywhere that you go. A little bit in the corner. I like my little park scene. And like every artist, you get a marker. I'm gonna grab a little marker over here. What color am I choosing? Pink, my favorite. On the bottom right corner, I'm gonna sign my name, Mrs. B. And that is my artwork for the day with utensils we can find right in the kitchen. We don't need paintbrushes, spoon, brush, straw, fork, and knife. And we made a cute little picture of a park scene. You can use any kind of paint you like. You can draw anything you like. You can paint anything you like with anything you have at home. It does not have to be like Mrs. B's, but this is just to show you with a little creativity, we can have lots of fun at home with a limited supply of items. Have a great day, everyone.